Okay, it looks like we are going live on the YouTube.
Yay.
Hi, everyone. Hi, YouTube.
Welcome. Hi.
Welcome to Hot Kallus Monday.
So good to see you all with us. See everybody starting to sneak in on the chats.
I'm just getting my Facebook open myself. Too many screens.
I know. I have the same problem right now, but it's worth it.
So how was your weekend, Ashley?
It was good. Worked the day job this weekend, so for the first weekend in like a month, and of course it's raining all weekend, and the Cedar Point crowd is in their full effect. So,
well, this was the first weekend in a while you haven't had a convention.
Yeah,
yeah,
in about a month. Yeah, so it was a big change. Good to be back with my friends at work, but
nice.
Yeah. What did you do?
I was actually on a little mini vacation. I was in Fire Island this weekend. We went Thursday morning, came back Sunday night. So we had from the beach to the pool to the club. It was just fun, relaxing, and both relaxing and fun. So it could be very low energy, it could be very high energy, but we did a little bit of everything. Saw some great drag, drank on the beach, drank in the pool, drank at the club. You do all the like partying, but the weather was gorgeous. We were on a lot of boats. Like it's just boats.
Wow.
We have to take boats, to go get places. So that was really nice. Like the summer's almost over. It's and or August, and then some. But summer feels like it's evaporating. People are already talking about like fall and pumpkin spice stuff, and I was like, no, it's not over yet.
I'm a summer kid, so I love my Halloween season. I love my spooky friends, but like I will squeeze every last drop of heat and humidity out of the air. I don't know why I grew up in New England because I just am so adverse to this.
Yeah, that's blizzard territory.
Yeah.
I want to eventually move someplace tropical, or at least warmer than this where there is no winter. That would be wonderful. I think that's the retirement plan. Oh, who knows? With global warming, though, I could probably just stay here. We'll see. We'll see what happens. What a mess.
Just switch coasts.
So hi to Jennifer and Sherry. Oh, and
hi,
Jeff.
Ladies.
So Jeff is producing us tonight, and Spencer and Robert. Got a nice group building. Hi, guys.
Hi, Robert. Spencer. Spencer says he's here for the Hot Kallus. You and us both, dude.
He's such a fantastic character, and we're gonna see some of the big character reveal episodes tonight.
It's going to be a very, very cool episode. You get to see the full transition from foe to fulcrum, as Jeff said.
Fulcrum. How did we not think of that? This entire time we've been ideating, from foe to fulcrum is a great. We could, if we ever did like just a full Kallus watch along, which he's in a lot of episodes. That would be a really tricky one. He's in more episodes than Ahsoka. And in fact, he's probably in more episodes than anyone other than like the members of the Ghost. Because he hangs around as a villain all through season 1, just like the Grand Inquisitor. He's still a villain in season 2, as we're going to watch one tonight. And then he's still in season 3. And part of the Rebel Alliance in season 4, not in as many episodes, but he's really like if you start ranking by appearance and by importance in the story, he probably comes in like right at the end after you get from the Ghost cast, like the core Ghost. He's right there.
Yeah, and which makes his transition like even more startling because you know him as this enemy, as this Imperial Security Bureau agent, and you don't realize like the internal struggle he's been going through because it's kind of in the background. It just kind of happens organically, and it's definitely on point here tonight. So
there's definitely a triggering event, but it's one that they could have decided easily to be like, all right, we're just going to go back to the way things were, and then he makes an internal decision in his internal monologue. It's not fully telegraphed at the end of the first episode we're going to watch, that he's going to make his face turn, as I guess they would call it in wrestling, when they're jumping to the good guy side.
Right.
But yeah, it is. It's pretty clear. I thought it was clear that it was going to be headed in that direction, that he was going to defect after that episode. But I didn't think he was going to become a fulcrum, and I didn't think he was going to stay on the Imperial side and be like a spy or something. I thought it was going to be a full on. He was going to try to leave, which doesn't go well. We saw what happened to Minister Tua. She tried to leave and kablooey.
Yeah. Well, it was too late for her to figure out. Like, I don't know. I have very little sympathy for Minister Tua, to be honest with you, because she was just too snotty and rude to begin with. And I feel like she only flipped sides to save her own butt. So,
Oh, sure. She wasn't thinking of anyone else except for herself.
But with Kallus, I think his decision to become Fulcrum is not only like, defecting to the rebellion, but it's like it's an internal conscious decision to just make up for all the damage he's done. Like, okay, I've done all these bad things, how can I help to the best of my ability? So,
and being on the inside would be super helpful. We've seen it in a few other instances in the media now, right? Like having a spy inside on the Imperial side has been super helpful. It was helpful in Obi-Wan. It was helpful in Rogue One. I mean, Bodhi was a defector. Yeah. So as we prepare for Andor and find all the threads to pull, which I actually am trying to work on some Andor stuff now, which is actually very cool. Like I've started seeing some things, which is cool. I know, but I have nothing to announce, by the way. But like, it's that I think the show looks great. Like I realize that that's such like a shill, licensee thing to be like the show looks great. It really does though. Like I'm looking at the like set photography and like the studio stills and all these things, and I was like, it just looks so expensive, and like it looks like they really put time and energy and effort into everything. Like there are some costumes that are like so close to classic trilogy, but like just different enough to make it feel like it's on another planet or in another department, or like, oh, this is the beta version of this costume because it is still like a few years later, like those little things. But like, it looks like there's a lot of care and attention that went into it.
Yeah, it definitely does. And that's what's so cool about it. It's different planets, different tribes, different people wearing different things, but it looks more than just, okay, here's a cape, here's a vest, here's a shawl you can put on, here's a robe. It's authentic to the people on the screen, and it's just really, really cool.
Still like, Star Wars, but like like you probably saw it in the last trailer, like there's an Imperial officer uniform that looks like a slightly different version of the Imperial officer uniform. And like they have different badges and things like that. I was like, oh, I love that stuff because it's still there. It's just like
it's just like secret police, and it's really like something we haven't seen in this part of Star Wars before. Like certain characters, I think in the animated series have had a similar costume, like Minister Tua with the blue and the vest and everything, but to see other people wearing it in live action, it's like I can't wait to see what comes of that. It's gonna be awesome.
And there's some interesting like costuming and other character Easter eggs that we're going to see in both of the episodes tonight. More so in Imperial Eyes in the second episode, where Colonel Yularen comes back. Which we'll get into a whole stream for him. We're going to start the episode in like a minute or two. I'm just looking at the time right here.
Right.
Because we're doing another double tonight, guys. So you got us for, obviously it's a full hour, but we've been hitting the 110 mark roughly. So we're going to try to double up quickly on these two, and then we'll give you the rest of the Andor August and then some schedule and whatever other housekeeping things at the end of the show.
Right.
Yeah, so these are going to be really interesting ones, though, because we haven't really spent a lot of time with Kallus. The episodes, as I was looking at what we rewatched so far, like this is probably the most amount of screen time we're going to get with Zeb and Kallus compared to the other things we've watched.
Right. And it's another opportunity to see like how organic their friendship and as well as their, opposition to each other has become. He goes from shooting at Zeb in one episode to like being stranded with him on Geonosis. And
and a lot changes.
A lot changes.
I was rewatching, of course, every time we do this, I'll usually rewatch the episode if I haven't just seen it recently, and the Rebels Recon. And then sometimes I'll watch other people's reviews to see what they thought. And these are from like of the day, right? So there was one where they were still speculating about what Twilight of the Apprentice might be like, because I guess the episode title had been released but
Yeah.
not the episode. And so like the big showdown between Vader and Ahsoka, and I was like, oh my god, I remember the buildup that was happening because this is
There was
late
so
in the
much
season.
hype.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this episode drops in a way that like in some ways it's like, was this filler at the time because you were building toward that other arc, and like neither Vader nor Ahsoka are in this episode, but it's a standout for people. And of course we travel to Geonosis, but we don't get a lot of Geonosis. We're on a moon, but like it is definitely, when you go back and rewatch it, it is not a filler for sure. In fact, it sets up something huge, which is why we have curated this little collection for you guys tonight.
Yes. So please queue up your Disney Plus and get ready to watch with us. Let's see. Gotta go in if you want to start the countdown mark whenever
Yep,
you're ready.
Yep, season 2, episode 17, The Honorable Ones. And I'm going to do a 5-second countdown. So everyone get your stuff ready. We're going to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They always start with the ships. I love it.
Yeah, like this, we're in space. And again, we've done a couple episodes now with Geonosis, but this is the first time chronologically in Rebels that we see Geonosis. And there's a suspicion that something was being built out here. Rex, in theory, would have been the only person here to have a knowledge of what that could have been, but he wouldn't have known. At the end of Revenge of the Sith, Tarkin, Vader, the Emperor, they're all on the bridge, and you see the Death Star being built. And I guess like anyone else on that ship would have seen that, but it was a well-kept secret. And they obviously moved the Death Star. But there's nothing left but remnants. We see trash floating around, like this is all abandoned.
Yeah.
And
no signs of life.
Yeah, that's the scariest part, right? We know now what happened. There was like a genocide of the bugs. We dealt with that last 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. But Ezra can't feel any life on the planet. It's not good.
And I love how instantly Rex accuses Chopper of being cross-wired because he can't tell any signs of life. It's like, it's not Chopper's fault. Cut him some slack.
Like, oh, we squished all those bugs.
Oh. This is
This
not
is a
good.
trap. And it's a trap. Now, it's weird that Kanan couldn't sense this. And it's because Kanan's powers are still building. If this were a season later, he would have been like, there's like a battalion of troopers behind that door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. I already talked over like the most critical piece of this is that Kallus and Zeb get separated. They've had a rivalry now, and in fact, we're skipping over their very first interaction in season 1, where they have their big fight, and you find out that Kallus is responsible for the deaths of the Lasat people. That's the species that Zeb belongs to. So they've already been at it. Oh yeah, this is great. So everyone's got their own little, like this is like in a video game where everyone sort of jumps off and like fights their enemy.
Yeah, seriously.
This is terrific. Here's the thing: always bet on Chopper. Oof.
Always.
That was great. We got to add that to the Chopper kill count.
Oh yeah, droids count too.
Yeah, oh for sure. And you see all the way in the back, Zeb is stuck back there. This was a pretty well laid trap.
Mm-hmm. But they weren't counting on Chopper to get that door shut.
Yep. This is a great episode for Zeb. He gets a lot of screen time. Steve Bloom does an amazing job delivering the dialogue. It's an emotional episode, and he really brings it. David Oyelowo is always like, I mean, he's like an Academy Award nominee or an Academy Award winner. Steve never gets the credit that I think he deserves for this character and just like the depth he brings to it.
No, he's just so good with his voices and teaching other people how to be voice actors. He's phenomenal in his field, both him and Mary Elizabeth McGlynn.
Yep. All right, so we've lost Zeb and Kallus. They're off in an escape pod, very R2 and C3PO, hurtling toward the planet.
And fighting with each other. So of course that does not work out well for them.
No. What's interesting is when I was rewatching it, I forgot. I'm the idiot. Like I forgot they weren't on Geonosis. They crash onto one of the moons, and Kallus makes fun of Zeb for that. And I was like, you know that meme where it's like I feel very attacked. I was like, I feel very attacked. Like that was because I was like, oh yeah, they crash on Geonosis. They sure don't. They crash on a moon.
Frozen, frosty moon.
Yes, a very, very frosty moon.
With critters.
And David has joined us. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave. It's a trap. Yes, it is a trap.
I do enjoy the setup. And more excellent piloting from Hera.
Seriously, this woman is phenomenal.
Oof. Good explosion there.
Don't be a Slimo. I love how Chopper's like, yes. Do you want him back?
That's so mean.
Oh, this is not good.
So Kallus is injured. And Zeb, because he has honor. By the way, the episode title is called The Honorable Ones. And we find out that, it's ones, both of them. They're both honorable in their own kind of way. And you'll see with Zeb right now, like, he could easily just kill Kallus, but he's not going to because he wants to have a fair fight with him.
Yeah. Even with a busted leg, he's still insulting the rebellion.
Yeah, it's a jerk. I will say from his perspective, the Ghost has one tiny ship that flew away and the Empire has like a fleet. They could send anyone to go get him. And he thinks that the Empire, with all their resources and one of their like important people down, right? He's pretty high ranked and he's like running important missions. They should go get him. He's a valuable asset to them. And, of course they should go rescue him, obviously. We're gonna see how that turns out. Because I think that's the moment. That's the miscalculation in his head of like what you give to this organization and how valuable they think you are. There's a big gap in what the truth is there. And there it is. There he is making fun of me.
Never fails.
So in one of the reviews that I watched, they were talking about this conceit of like hero and a villain stuck together, have to work together. It's a bit of a trite story beat that's been done in lots of other series. But the ending on this one hits a little differently because usually people go back to their old sides and they just like let each other escape that one time, but then it's back to normal and it's almost like the episode didn't matter. But in Rebels, it actually really does matter. It sets up a huge shift in the structure of both sides of the fight.
Oh yeah, and that's where they turn the trope on its ear. Like they go against our expectations of, oh, they're just going to go back to the dark side. It's totally fine. They're just going to rejoin the Empire and everything will be back the way it was. They'll fight again next week.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I believe Dave and the crew just want the story to mean as much as possible going forward because there are so few episodes and then everything has to count.
Yeah, nothing is filler, which, especially if you rewatch season 1 and season 2, you realize things that you might have thought were sort of one-off adventures always come back in the end. Again, it's the Purgles thing, right? Like the fillerest of filler episodes. As I mentioned, like seeing them in that big recap thing, and I was like, what are these stupid Purgles in here? And then they're like in the final moments of the whole show. It's that
they
kind
saved
of thing.
The day,
they
Mark.
Really did. There's not. I will say one of the things I really like about Rebels is I don't think they waste time. I think their 22 minutes are tight, and also like filled with information and character development and world building and good storytelling. and they don't take it for granted that you've tuned in. Like they didn't overly extend this show. Like they could have dragged it out for 5 or 6 seasons and gave us a lot more filler. But
Yeah.
they chose the time to fill, I think, correctly.
Absolutely. And that's what's so smart about it. And that's what makes it one of my absolute favorite pieces of Star Wars ever, is because it's so concise and so world building and doesn't take for granted a second of its time.
Yeah. They invite you in, but they don't overstay their welcome. They do a really good job with all the characters too. And this is a great example of that. Like if you think about the amount of action that happens in both of these episodes, it's really not that much. There's usually a kidnapping and usually an infiltration. Those are really the two big tropes within Star Wars Rebels, and usually for any kid show, because we can't just go around like blowing things up and killing people. So
Yeah,
it's not Game of Thrones, right? Like
No.
we're not doing that. But there's usually a kidnapping and an infiltration. And this is a little bit of an infiltration that led to an accidental kidnapping, sort of. And here we are. But it's done so well, and we get so much character development. And yet, even though it's all dialogue, they're still somehow showing while telling. Like it works.
Right. And I love how even though it's his enemy, like Zeb is still trying to go above and beyond here to help Kallus, keep him warm, protect him, but don't give him a weapon because you see why. It's like my cat trying to get on top of the railing.
So close too.
Yeah. Seriously, he's trying to save your life and you're going for the weapon. What's wrong with you, dude? Uh-oh.
I don't want to be fighting with Zeb. Not in these circumstances anyway. If you have like a battalion of stormtroopers, maybe.
It's like a weird bird lizard thing. I know Filoni likes his kaiju. So
yeah, there's some incredibly strange characters or creatures in Star Wars. This is a really weird one.
Like a hammerhead lizard thing.
Yeah. This is why you need Ezra to be like, calm down.
Damn it, Zeb, why can't you use the Force? Oh, looks like my mom is tuned in. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mrs. Ashley.
Yeah, this is her first time watching the show, so I sent her the YouTube link. So
I hope
she enjoys it.
I sent our first episode to my mom and dad. Like they just wanted to see me on YouTube, but they don't know from Star Wars. It's so funny. When I was at Thompson 2015, I will say when there's like an event or something, like if it's something achievable, they'll do it. We went to the midnight Walmart thing for Force Friday, and my mom and dad came. So it was me, my husband, my mom and dad. We drove out to New Jersey because like there's no Walmart in New York City. So there we are on like a Friday, going out. It was September 30th or whatever the day was, right? And it was kind of crazy, but it was fun. We were just walking around the store and looking at all the product. We're taking pictures everywhere. The balloons. My mom has pictures holding the Star Wars balloons. So dumb, right? But like a blast. And they had so much fun. And that's the kind of thing where like they don't know anything about Star Wars, really, other than that that I work on Star Wars, which I have to then tell people I'm a licensee. I don't actually work on the movies. Like that is not it's because they'll tell people I work on Star Wars. And I was like, you need to clarify. I made the trading cards. Now I make the costumes, but even that, not the costumes for the movie. Licensed product.
Licensed product for the fans.
Yes.
And I love how like, my mom doesn't know any of that, but if I want to take her to Disney World or Disneyland and just show her Galaxy's Edge and how much she would love it. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll get there.
Yeah, that would be a fun trip.
Yeah. Kallus admitted that the population of Geonosis is gone and he didn't ask questions.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad.
and from what we know from episode 2, from Attack of the Clones, it's just the bugs. I don't think those are the natives, which you have to wonder. Most species don't only live on their own planet. Like, were there no Geonosians anywhere else? Like, I always wondered, like with the Kaminoans, were all of them on Kamino? Like, it seems that that's the case, because otherwise, like, there's got to be some evidence out there, right? Yeah.
Oh, here we go. This is planet. Oh,
yeah.
The Busat.
So this is the conversation where so Onderon, important place. That's where Saw Gerrera is from. So again, pulling the threads over here, and rebels kill numerous people in Kallus's battalion who he considered them family. Obviously, the Empire killed many of Zeb's species, or so we thought. And so you can see there's casualties on both sides. Not that both sides are okay in this conflict, but a lot of people, and we've talked about this already numerous times, joined the Empire because it was the government or it was the military, and you don't realize you're on the wrong side until you're too deep in it. And this is, I think, what Kallus is dealing with now.
And he explains how he got that weapon from the Lasat warrior. And
given to him honorably.
Yeah, and Zeb thought he just took it from him.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. The fan art on this.
Yeah.
I've seen some fan art of this. If you're wrong, I'm feeding you to that thing. Now, this kind of reminds me of another Avatar project with like Zuko and Aang, and they get stuck in a cave during the blizzard. And if, Sokka, Katara, and Appa hadn't gone and Yue had gone to save Aang, Zuko would have froze to death.
Yeah.
So it's, in this case, Kallus is Zuko.
You saw they're doing a live action, or not a live action. They're doing live action, but they're also doing a sequel series where they're set as like adults. Seems very interesting.
Right. They're doing a continuation of the Avatar series in movie form with Aang and Katara and Sokka, Suki, Toph, and everybody. So that's really cool. But Paul Sun-Hyung Lee from The Mandalorian, who played Captain Carson Teva, is Uncle Iroh in the live action Netflix series. So
that's cool.
Perfect.
That's really awesome.
I am so excited for my friend Paul for that. Shout out to him for being the best Iroh ever. Perfect casting. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, that's going to be spectacular. Oh boy. There's actually a lot of tension in this episode because we've seen them kill mid-tier characters already in Rebels. I kind of thought that Kallus could die. Also, not going to lie, I thought if you're going to kill someone on the Ghost, it's Zeb. He seems the most disposable in the eyes of the casual viewer and in the writers. He doesn't have as much screen time.
Didn't they?
For sure. Oh, I also think though, like, there was never a chance that like both Jedi were getting out alive. Like Kanan or Ezra was going to die, and in theory, like it should be Kanan because he's the adult and Ezra's like the lead of the show. Ezra just had to disappear, and that ended correctly, I thought. And they're not going to kill Hera or Sabine. So I was like, oh, Zeb is the obvious. Like, if we're gonna if there has to be a casualty on the Ghost, it's Zeb. Knowing that Kanan is more of like a casualty of like the end of the Jedi. Like that was kind of my rationale there, but they continually made him more and more significant to the story, I felt, as like the time went on. And I'm glad they did because he was so underappreciated, in the show itself, in the fandom, but these episodes are just tremendous.
Right.
Oh yeah, and this is, as Dave is saying, this is the episode that really kicks off like the ship between the two of them, which I kind of hate that phrase. And then I was rewatching another video, and someone was referring it to them as being bros. And I'm like, that's
Romance is
fine.
real.
Like, I was like, oh, I hate the word bromance too. But I get it, because like even in Star Wars, I was telling someone, I was like, there are actually like hardly any heterosexual couples. Like love is not a big part of Star Wars. Like they tried to make it seem that way with like Anakin and Padme, but like, ugh. Um,
Yeah.
that was not great. And the other love stories all end in tragedy, like Satine and Obi-Wan. You know, there are some married people, obviously, and people are procreating, but like love is not a central thing in Star Wars. Even Han and Leia, they're just like antagonistic. And it's like, okay, we have a woman on screen, we better hook her up with someone. It sort of like felt like that in some ways, right?
Yeah. But that's why it's important. Like the very first episode, as soon as you see Kanan and Hera's
Yeah.
calling Kanan love, and it's
Yeah.
like, whoa, okay, cool.
Yeah,
I'm down.
there's something there. It's like, yeah. And they eventually have a kid. Like they clearly are, you know, basically the equivalent of married. Which they don't really use the term spouse or wife or husband a lot in Star Wars, except when it's like really needed for a plot reason, like when Han, and we talked about this ages ago, Han's like secret wife in a mission of sorts, like it was a scam, which is why they needed like the title.
He is waiting for the Empire. It's like, they don't know if they're gonna come get you.
Yeah,
Help is here.
Yeah. If I were him though, I wouldn't get on that ship. Like that's the enemy. You know, I'd rather wait my chance, see if the embassy, because he assumes the Empire is going to get to him, and you know they're on their way.
Yeah.
Oh, I will. All right. So Dave, Kanan and Hera are a great Star Wars love story. I'm saying Star Wars in general. They don't. I don't think they do love stories well, and there aren't that many of them either. It's more about like the conflict that we're fighting, and I do think some of the best relationships are some of the friend characters. Like I think Han and Lando is a way more interesting dynamic, and I want to follow that. I actually think Zeb and Kallus are really interesting too. But like,
they didn't even care that he was gone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, first, Constantine's the worst, by the way. He is like at the top of my list and needs a slap in the face. But like, this is the moment, right? Where Kallus is, look, he's like hobbling, like no one cares.
Yep. Just another day on the Death Star or the Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
And he saw how happy the Ghost Crew were for Zeb to be found and Zeb to come back, and that he was okay and everything. And
they all came running off the ship. He, like all 5 of them were there.
Kallus
and then he's alone by himself in his room.
Gonna care. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the moment. So as Sherry said, yeah. Yeah, this is the face turn.
Da, da, da.
I do love that episode.
All right.
Okay. So now we're going to queue up season 3, episode 17 through
we're jumping
jumping
a whole season ahead.
Whole season.
And a lot happens between now and then. Like we meet Kallus several other times. But this is the reveal. This is Thrawn figuring it out that he is a Fulcrum.
And Thrawn is always smarter than the rest of the, the Empire. So
the most cerebral villain for sure. You're right. Other than Palpatine, if you were going to start ranking, like if we did a ranking on like who are the smartest villains, Palpatine's clearly at the top, but like Thrawn's probably at close is a second. And then, man, does it drop off after that? There are a lot of idiots on the other side. They can do some dark side stuff. Like I think Maul is pretty manipulative and clever, but he's also blinded by his rage and his obsession with Kenobi. So like they have those things limiting them.
Right.
Yeah, but Thrawn is in tip-top shape in this episode too. Like this is a great Thrawn episode. If we were doing a Thrawn watch along and it was like, how do you dissect like what makes a character work? This episode would be in the Thrawn watch along for sure. Of like,
agreed.
Him unraveling the mystery of Fulcrum.
Yeah, Thrawn always plays the long game, as does Palpatine. There's always a plan B, C, D, E, and so on for everything.
Contingencies. Mm-hmm. Do we want to start the second episode of Hot Callus Monday.
Hot Callus Monday. Okay. Sure. So if you get your Disney Plus queued up, everybody ready? So it's gonna be starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is
Play.
season 3, episode 17 through Imperial Eyes, which I was reading about the opening shot, which is all POV. I wasn't reading. I was listening to the Rebels Recon with Andy Gutierrez, and she interviews.
Andy.
I know. I love her. I miss her.
Love her.
I wish she was on my TV weekly. The way like the Star Wars show, which her and Anthony is so good. And Rebels Recon was delightful. Like I started rewatching all of them, and I rewatch them every week. I rewatch like a stack of them as we're doing these things. She interviews Dave Filoni in this episode of Recon, and they were saying they wanted to do a lot more POV, and they just didn't have the time. And one of the smallest things was like Kallus doesn't have pajamas because they couldn't build another character model in the time frame, so that's why he's sleeping in his armor. It was just more of like a functional thing for animation.
Right, but it's also very Kallus because being an ISB agent, you have to be ready at a moment's notice. So it kind of works with the character, and it doesn't count against them.
I didn't think it detracted at all.
Yeah.
But they specifically mentioned Dooku in his
really
pajamas.
Fascinating.
And I was like, I love the Dooku fancy pajamas. Like if they did that as a licensed product, like Dooku's fancy pajamas from Clone Wars, I'd have like 12 pairs.
Kallus would have like little Imperial symbols all over it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the helmet's important. The first of many clues. And by the way, this is season 3 character model Ezra. He looks great with the short hair.
Oh, yeah.
Very much. This is in the time frame where he's dealing with Darth Maul.
And there is AP5 and Chopper. Happy birthday to Steven Stanton, by the way.
Oh, that's right. That's today.
That is today.
He's fantastic. We need to do a Steve Stanton appreciation day here on the show because he's just terrific. Oh no, I think we might have lost Ashley. Oh no, you're back?
Oh.
I think we lost Ashley. Her internet, weirdly enough, dropped out like right before we were going to start recording, and then it kicked back in and it was fine. But no worries. We will continue to watch the episode without her and then catch her up when she gets back. So as you can see so far, Ezra jumping in here to check up on Kallus, because at this point, Kallus is the fulcrum, and Ezra intentionally gets himself captured to protect Kallus. So they've been working together for a little while now. Oh boy, and it's another issue, another incident now where they have to like trust each other. Well, I'll try to keep all this secret. One of the things that's interesting about this episode is other minor Imperial officer characters pop up who were in prior episodes, because Thrawn is trying to uncover who the Fulcrum is. And so we do get almost like a little mini whodunit in here, like very Knives Out style. And you can see Kallus also being super deceitful and very smart, trying to frame someone else as Fulcrum so he doesn't get found out, which I think is a great plot. It works really well. And of course, the Empire doesn't really know AP5. They know Chopper, which is why Chopper always has to be in some kind of disguise if he's going to be on an Imperial ship or something. But AP5 is not known or recognized by the Empire yet. I don't think they've had a run-in with him. Oh yeah, so this guy is from A Princess on Lothal. As I mentioned, like there's a few of these Imperial officers coming back. Yeah, that we're gonna have to do that episode as a watch along as well. Do a like Leia appreciation day or something, because she makes quite the impact for just being in one episode. People really remember A Princess on Lothal very positively. We obviously didn't get Luke in Rebels. It wouldn't really have made sense because he wasn't part of this conflict. But Leia has a whole episode all about her, and she's on Lothal, which is amazing. I will say this deep into Rebels, them trusting Ezra not just to infiltrate, but to like willingly be imprisoned, especially when it's Thrawn that we're dealing with. They're putting a lot of trust in him. Like he's grown so much since the premiere of the show, and the responsibilities just get bigger and bigger for him. And of course, Chopper, more infiltrating. Yeah, AP5 is such a fun character. Steven Stanton does such a great job with him. I think Ashley referred to him as like an Alan Rickman kind of voice for AP5, and it was it's one of his. He does a bunch of characters, but one of his most memorable for sure.
There she is.
Oh,
Hello.
Ashley has returned.
I'm sorry, guys.
No worries.
Can I get a
We're just
timestamp?
making our way through the episode. I was telling everyone to be on the lookout for Thrawn trying to frame one of the other Imperial officers for being the Fulcrum. And we have various characters popping up back from prior episodes, which is really fun. So if you've been watching Star Wars Rebels, like the way we did from episode 1, you'll remember these people. And they also give you like a little bite. Like the one guy just said, like, oh, after dealing with that princess on Lothal. And I was like, oh, from the episode of Princess on Lothal. So
Do you have a timestamp for this?
oh yeah, we are at 6 minutes 50 seconds.
Okay.
I love the physicality that Thrawn is bringing to this training. He's obviously, as we talked about earlier, a major cerebral villain, but he can go when it comes to the physical stuff too. We'll see that at the end of season 3 when he's like physically on the ground during the assault on Chopper Base. And he's wearing like the AT-AT driver helmet, which is my favorite. I love that. I love the AT-AT driver helmet. When he wears it, when Governor Price wears it, super cool. Oh, all right, we got to talk about Yularen. Okay, so I love this character. One, it's a reverse engineered character from A New Hope, which I just love everything about that. So if you've watched A New Hope and if you watched it recently, you know that there's like a conference room scene with like the big boardroom, like the big conference hall, right? And Tarkin is there and all the other officers and Vader. And there's one guy in a white uniform with white hair. That is then Admiral Yularen. And then they made him, I guess, a colonel in the Clone Wars and like aged him down and made him a Republic colonel, I guess, you know, a member of the military. But now we're seeing him in Rebels. And of course, it's only a few years before A New Hope. And we find out at this point, this white uniform is part of ISB. So he's part of the Intelligence Bureau, which is the equivalent of like the CIA, FBI. As opposed to just like straight up military. So in theory, we assume he was on the Death Star when it blew up. So that's the end of him. But we had a great run with this character in Clone Wars, played by the amazing Tom Kane.
Yeah, he was so good in that series.
Yeah,
and he's essentially Kallus's boss. So if anything, Kallus knows that he's going to do everything he can to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. He's another one who's super cerebral, and I'm glad to see him in Rebels because I always liked this character. And it's interesting that I never thought of him as being evil in any way, shape, or form. So for him to still be part of the military, like he obviously needed to shift a little, but maybe he doesn't know everything that's going on. Maybe he just sees the rebels as like a bunch of terrorists. Like there's any number of things. But yeah, he's super smart and like not devious, but he's certainly cunning.
Mm-hmm. He's very calculated.
Yeah, works great with Thrawn. Thrawn needs another cerebral partner.
He's kind of the Dr. Watson.
Yeah,
Thrawn's Sherlock.
Oh, and here's Governor Press. We're getting all the good Imperials. And so someone had said, like, for a long time, fans were clamoring for an episode where it's really just all about the Imperials and what their day-to-day is like and what it's like on their side of the war. They've done that in books. They've done that in comics. It's not really been done in the movies, obviously.
Right.
And in the TV show, there haven't been that many. Like, people forget that there weren't that many TV shows. And in the Clone Wars, it was Republic, like, not Empire. So this is really the first episode that fully gives you, I think, like a look at like what everyday life is for like the Imperials, you know, working in the military, doing their day-to-day stuff, getting their point of view on things. Like, look at this trio on screen right now. Thrawn, Price, and Yularen. They like all couldn't be more different other than the fact that they're all incredibly ambitious. And they just have different ways of going about things. And I don't think Yularen is evil. I do think Price is evil.
Oh yeah. She's cold.
Yeah. Yeah, these are excellent characters, and they're not one-dimensional. They're interesting. They're voiced so well. Like, everyone in this cast is terrific. Kallus is trying to like not sweat. I would die. I'd be found out instantly, guys. Like, I would try real hard, but like they wouldn't even need to torture me. Like, I would just like sweat too much or something. Like, I would be easily found out.
Seriously, and you're wearing all that armor and that wool uniform, and it's just like ugh. The panic would be on. Oh, Ezra. He's got his one move.
Yeah. Which so people use the word irony incorrectly all the time, but it would be ironic if he removed this planet from the map and that's what led them to realize where it is. And I think that's actually exactly what happens.
Yeah. Like he's
Hey,
not.
Lieutenant List is the one that he is framing as the fulcrum. Oh, so the data sticks get used, which it's not just a transponder. There's also information stored on there. So that's how he's able to like set up List for.
It's like a flash drive and a key card all in one. So
flash drive, key card, transponder, possibly microphone. I feel like it's kind of like the sonic screwdriver, where because it was never fully defined in the past and it was more decorative, they were able to then just like retcon the functionality, kind of like the Cantono, you know, where they're like, oh, what's the ice cream maker? We can make it whatever we want. Like, and people will lose their mind over it. And they're like, let's just make it into a safe. And then they did. Yeah, code cylinder. I call it data stick. So I never use the right terminology for this stuff. I do love seeing Ezra in the Imperial officer uniform. I do like them working together.
Steve.
Oh, this is another chopper disguise.
Sabine's like a professional at painting him to look like an Imperial droid. Like she's done it a few times in the series. There's Harris Calicori.
Yeah, this map, he's going one by one and eliminating planets from the potential list of suspects. There's an episode of AP5 coming up with a drone, and we're going to see that whole situation. But Thrawn is honing in on the rebels. And by the end of season 3, it's the invasion of Chopper Base, because he's been spending this whole season tracking them down. Kind of like in Empire Strikes Back, where they find the rebels on Hoth and they'll have to leave again. Like, the rebels don't get to hang out very long at their secret bases because they get found out. And part of it is the hyperspace lanes and just the fact that like Imperial surveillance is everywhere.
It's true. And it's a miracle that they managed to get through for so long, you know, just kind of sneaking around like this.
Yeah.
Just hide behind the giant slab.
Apparently there are a bunch of Easter eggs in the office. There's like a clone trooper helmet that supposedly belongs to the clone who Yoda decapitates in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh,
I know.
wow.
I was like, they brought that up specifically on Recon. And I was like, okay. There's all sorts of stuff I would not have recognized. Obviously, Hera's not Calicory.
Yeah.
Yeah, Calicory is there, which is the family tree. Because we met Sham Sandula. I shouldn't say we met him. We rejoined him because we met him in Clone Wars. He reappears in Rebels just a few episodes prior to this. Hera has a whole episode where she's infiltrated Thrawn. It's so funny how many of them have had face-to-face interactions with Thrawn at this point. This is great though, with the battle droids being programmed.
Early Dark
Thrawn,
Troopers.
though. Yeah, yeah. That they look like what we eventually end up seeing in the Mandalorian. So there are these little threads that they plant there. We never do see like a finalized TIE Defender, and I know that program goes down in flames, but like that would have been cool to bring like into a future project, like a better TIE fighter.
But also Thrawn trains with these bots, so
yeah, he knows
he's got experience.
We saw him in that scene. Like they added that for a reason. They were like, we need to see him like kicking some butt.
Yeah. You're welcome. He's not capable of running. It's just like,
yeah, he gets it done. I will, and he's so calm about it too. Oof! Can you imagine pulling into that? I would not be happy about that.
mm-mm. And these two are like Stasky and Hutch.
I remember when they first met, they did not trust each other. You know, clones and Jedi.
I think Rex has proven himself worthy.
Yeah, and trusted by Ahsoka. So that's the kind of thing where
big.
Yeah. Governor Price.
Poor Rex.
Yep. Oh. I don't want to hurt you, lady. Look, she'll kill you. You know, and by the way, she does. Like, she kills Kane.
Yeah, she
like,
literally kills you later, dude. Like, don't mess.
when he was getting ready, she was like, shoot him. She has no chill. No chill from Governor Price, and I'm all about it. Look at her go. Oh. I will say Thrawn and Price both really get it done.
Dang.
I love that like List is just close enough looking to Ezra for this to work. It's like American Psycho, where it's just like a white guy with like shortish brownish hair. It's enough to like get everyone confused. All right, so Kallus thinks he could do more good for the rebellion being on the inside because he's not been found out. We've set up List. List is the fall guy for all of this. I love that he thought that Governor Price was the spy. It's awesome. I will say, though, this is where Thrawn's superior intellect kicks in because he realizes the puzzle falls into place like a little too easily. Looks like we lost Ashley again. Oh, yep. Lost interwebs again. It's okay. We are nearing the end of the episode. So Thrawn is playing it very cool. He knows that Kallus is the fulcrum. So this was telegraphed early in the episode, and I didn't catch on to it. But Thrawn is a big lover of art and knows exactly who drew this. So Sabine Wren, and he has a little piece of her art right there, drew that helmet. And if he recognized it, Kallus should have recognized it too. Yeah, Kallus is the fulcrum. From foe to fulcrum. That's the biography title that we're going to use. So this makes me think of the line in Obi-Wan Kenobi where the Grand Inquisitor says, the way to hunt Jedi is through patience. Thrawn really excels in this area. He's, as Dave said, he's playing the long game, always playing the long game, always playing it cool, calm and scary, terrifying. And that's how he's ultimately victorious. It just so happens that like in the final moments where he really looks like he's winning, and the Battle of Lothal to free Lothal wasn't going terribly well, the Purgles sort of saved the day, and Ezra was able to see that in the Force and like manifest that to happen. But Thrawn's actions throughout seasons 3 and 4 of Rebels, he really comes close to crushing all of them. And certainly like the actions that happen, like they kill Kanan, even though it's Governor Price, it is all part of like the large plan that Kallus had. They take out Chopper Base. He vanquishes the Bendu. We don't really know what happened to him. So Thrawn's like a very successful villain within this story. He certainly uncovers Kallus being the fulcrum, which could have been really bad for the Empire if that was left unchecked. Let's see. In this episode, before or after, we see Thrawn collecting the art from Hera's families. This is after. So he already has Hera's Kalikori. And earlier in season 3, there's a whole episode where Hera is aboard the ship with Thrawn. And that's what I was saying earlier, that like there's a good amount of FaceTime with Thrawn and several members of the Ghost, which is fantastic. I like when the big bad actually gets that time. We see it with Price as well. Governor Price, Thrawn, to a lesser extent Constantine, they all get a good amount of interaction with the crew of the Ghost. All right, Ash, I made it back. Woohoo! Were you able to see the last few minutes of the episode, or did like that cut out as well?
Oh no, that cut out too. Like anything that was running on the Wi-Fi just completely crashed.
Yeah.
So
you've seen it a million times though, so
yes.
you know what's up. Kallus has been found out, but Thrawn figured it out that he was setting up List and it was all fitting too perfectly, and the helmet was the giveaway with the artwork from Sabine, but they didn't tell Kallus that. So Kallus is now known to be the fulcrum by Thrawn and Yularen, but he's going to carry on his regular double life now, and then eventually gets confronted by Thrawn in a later episode. So
yeah, that's a big reveal.
Yeah, that's going to be, we should watch that at some point too. But the reason we picked these episodes for you guys as part of our Andor August and then some is because I have a sneaking suspicion that Kallus might be part of the Andor show, and even if he's not, he's a fulcrum, and we know that Andor is a fulcrum, and there will be fulcrums within the Andor show. There kind of has to be, whether it's Bail or Leia or Ahsoka or Andor or any number of other people. Maybe Saw Gerrera was a fulcrum for a little while. I don't know, but it's someone who's getting information about the Imperials and acting anonymously so they can transmit safely this insider info. And I'm curious to see how that all plays out in Andor, because who knows? I mean, you mentioned, Ashley, that you thought he could return as a voice actor.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I would totally be on board with that.
Yeah.
So
David Oyelowo is fantastic. And if you can imagine the audio of just the fulcrum symbol and his voice and him giving them instructions, that
you'll
would
hear
be
us
super cool.
like screeching from wherever you are.
Yeah, because if you know what David Oyelowo looks like, he does not look like Agent Kallus. So they couldn't, unfortunately, cast him in that role.
No, but they could, because they've done things like that recently where it's a lot like they did it in Sandman. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
They did it in Sandman where death is supposed to be like a Susie Sue kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
and it's Kirby Baptiste Howell and
yes,
Kirby Howell Baptiste, and she's brilliant.
Yeah,
and so I'm all
possible.
for it. I would love.
He's such a fantastic actor that I'm sure that the fans would not be annoyed to see David Oyelowo on our screen, because he's amazing. They also could just get like any random white British guy, who's close to a voice match, if he's not going to be a major player. Because again, I do think it's the Katie Sackhoff thing is such an anomaly. And then people were expecting it, right? Like once you cast Katie as both voice and live action, every time you don't do it, people have a heart attack about it. And I was like, no, it's not going to happen for anyone. Like, she is the exception. It's not.
No, but it's so hard because they make the characters so close to the voice actors. It's not even funny. So if you look at Kanan and you look at how Hera looks, they're very similar to Vanessa Marshall and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's definitely features there.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's their fault. They make it too good.
I know. And that's the thing, is I want to make sure the voice actors get their roses. I want to make sure that they get the appreciation for the role, which I think Ashley was a little bit like overlooked in that regard. Like, she's built this character for like 15 years now. And then it was just like the ball was passed to someone else without her really being included in it. And I think that was part of the like fan reaction as well. As much as I'm excited about Ahsoka, like there could also be something in that show for Ashley to do. Even if she's not going to play Ahsoka, because she's not a live action actress. And
they did that with Matt Lanter in The Mandalorian, So
yeah, they gave him an episode, put her in something, let her do something, let her be like the mom, right? Like, I don't know, something. Like, that's my take anyway, because it's all like a Star Wars family, and they do reuse the same people over and over again. Like, a lot of the voice actors we're talking about in today's episodes come back in Resistance. They're in Visions. There's a lot of, especially, actually, they just announced season 2 of Visions, which is more than just anime. It's going to be other forms of animation, which I'm very excited about, because people seem to know American animation, or what would you think of as American animation, but it's probably made overseas, and anime, but they don't know lots of other like sort of, and even I don't, the various names of like the country specific forms of animation. But if you're a Star Wars fan, like, you could have it filtered through that. And I was like, oh, I want to watch that. And it's going to be a lot of the voice actors we know in the dubs. So the original native languages, you won't know a single person necessarily. But then in the English dubs, it'll be a lot of the family that have been built through Clone Wars, Rebels, Resistance, and the first season of Vision. So that's going to be really cool.
Right. And it's cool to see all these different studios working on it. So it's entirely possible, they could have Ashley come in another form in Ahsoka, because it is Dave Filoni's baby, and he loves Ashley and he loves the character Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be cool to figure out how all the pieces fit at this point. So.
Oh, yeah. And in fact, Dave is asking, do we think we're going to get Thrawn in Andor to help set up for Ahsoka? I don't think so. I think that they're going to save that. I think he's too big. And that's why I think a smaller character like Kallus, though, makes sense. Yeah. Because like he connects to Thrawn. Like there's a gateway. You need to, like, certain characters, you need to build a bridge to. And I think Thrawn is one of them. Like, we met that lady, right, who Ahsoka had the fight with in Mandalorian season 2. blanking on her name, the magistrate.
Elsbeth.
So
Morgan
yeah,
Elsbeth.
so you're so good at that. I feel like my brain has turned into pudding over the
That's
last
good.
year.
We balanced each other out.
Yeah. And so that fight was a great fight. And then you find out like she's looking for Thrawn. Oh, she's connected to Thrawn. And so now you're wondering who's Thrawn. If by the way, I don't think there's a single Star Wars fan who doesn't know who Thrawn is. Like a big fan. He's not Darth Vader, but he is known to like the expanded universe fans, the Rebels fans. Like he's now been name dropped in The Mandalorian. So Thrawn is something we're going to build to. Yeah, and then I think we'll also build to Ezra, as proven by the fact that they're going to reshoot basically the entire closing scene of Rebels with Sabine up against the mural. If she's doing the exact same voiceover, we know how it ends. Like Ezra's still out there, and I'm going to find him. Like that's the show, right? Like, is that the Ahsoka show? I don't know, but like it's definitely Sabine's show, and like if that's Sabine's journey, and Ahsoka's going to intersect with that. And it seems like, Ahsoka's the one who went to pick her up at the end of Rebels. So to start that new chapter.
And if you guys want to get a taste of what Natasha Liu Bordizzo is like, check out Day Shift on Netflix. She's in that movie. And from what I hear, I haven't watched it yet because I've been too busy rewatching The Sandman over and over. I'm obsessed
Sandman's
with that show right now. So good. But I heard she's really good in it. And it's a good little, check her out, see what she's like, and before she's in the armor as Sabine.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. By the way, Sandman is amazing. Sherry is talking about Forrest Whitaker. Forrest Whitaker was cast in Rogue One as Saw Gerrera, but he wasn't the original voice actor for Saw Gerrera. That was Andrew Kishimo from the Clone Wars. Once they cast Saw Gerrera or Forrest Whitaker as Saw for Rogue One, they added to his contract for him to continue playing that character in Rebels, the same way they did for Genevieve to take over Mon Mothma in Rebels after Kat Susi had done it in Clone Wars. So like starting with the initial, if you're live action, they will port you to animation without a problem. But if you're animation, if you're the voice actor, there's no guarantee you're going to live action. I'm telling you, the Katie thing is an anomaly.
Total anomaly.
Yeah. So I would not hold my breath for any of those, like, if you meet someone now in animation, and maybe now it would be a little more intentional since the universes are actually overlapping in a way that they weren't before. But I don't think we're going to see Vanessa Marshall playing Hera. They didn't cast Tia Sircar as Sabine. Like Ashley's obviously not playing Ahsoka. David Oyelowo is not going to come in and play Kallus in live action. He's just not. But like, if it was a voiceover, maybe, that could be interesting. I'm looking at the time, and we could go on all night as we do.
We do.
But how about we take them through the calendar of what's coming over the next few weeks?
Yeah, let's get into that. Sorry, my internet shut.
No, I got it. I'll do it. Okay. So today was Monday, August 22nd. We did our Hot Kallus watch along, and this was we have actual Hot Kallus stuff too. Like the Hot Kallus actually refers to the look that you see in the graphic all the way on the left with the arms crossed and the good sideburns and the long hair, like the sexy Kallus. So we'll do some actual Hot Kallus stuff at a later time. But this was like get to know Kallus and understand how he could be an important part of building the rebellion, which is really our whole countdown for Andor. Next Monday, we're going to do 2 other really important episodes that help build out the rebellion. So these are episodes that are including like Mon Mothma, Wedge Antilles, General Dodonna, and the like. A lot of these are based on like Yavin 4. This is The Occupation and Kindred, and they are both from season 4 of Rebels, which is getting really close timeline wise to Rogue One and A New Hope. That's on Monday, August 29th. The following Monday is Labor Day. So we are going to do, I know, Labor Daber, which that's, oh my God, I'm blanking on the reference of where that's originated. It's become like part of the pop culture for so long.
Oh, sorry. I got that from Homestar Runner.
Homestar Runner, yes. So that was big when I was in college. This is how long ago.
I was like 20 when that was big. So I'm dating myself here. But yeah, I still love Homestar Runner and I still quote it and people are like, What are you talking about?
Yeah, every now and then I'll pull out something from like Invader Zim. I said something that I was like, oh, such plentiful organs. And someone looked at me like I was a lunatic. And I was like, well, of course, that line makes like no sense out of context.
Unless you're a cannibal. But yeah. No, he's not.
That'd be a lot of work. So then Labor Day, Labor Day, we're on Monday, September 5th. We are not expecting you guys to join us live because I'm sure people have Labor Day plans. We were going to do a listicle, another pre-record listicle, and these are going to be our favorite moments in building out the Rebel Alliance within Star Wars Rebels. So it's going to cover a lot of the stuff that we've been watching as part of the Andor August, and then some watch-alongs. And then on Monday, September 12th, it's the Wedge Antilles watch along. So we're going to meet Wedge in the Antilles extraction, followed by Double Agent Droid, which is the AP5 episode. So happy birthday, Steve. And we'll talk about him a little more next week. And then the prediction show on Monday, the 19th. And then the premiere recap on Monday, the 26th of the first 3 episodes of Andor, where hopefully like all of our predictions come true. That's what I'm banking on. I'm very good at predictions.
I mean, it's worth a try. I mean, that's the best part about predictions. You get to see if you won or you lost.
Yeah. And then Dave is saying this Sunday on Unifying Force, they're going to do a deep dive on Rogue One.
Yeah, don't miss that.
And then this Thursday, oh my God. Then I love the Unifying Force, by the way. These are 3 very like learned, like know their craft hosts. Like these are some of them, they're good hosts. Like they know their stuff. So this is like your encyclopedia. Like when I tell people to go to Star Wars Explained, to get all your like top line info, this is a great show for like your deep dive discussions on things. So they're gonna, I guess they're covering Rogue One on this Sunday, which it's back in IMAX. So good timing on that to discuss that movie and then go see it in IMAX. And then this Thursday, there's a watch along for more Clone Wars. There's so much Clone Wars content, you guys. And as you can see, there's so much Rebels content too. So make sure you tune into everything happening around the channel.
See, the animation is universal. It's not just about the films. It's not just about the TV shows. It's about all of it. And that's what we're here for. We're here
One big ecosystem.
We're here to highlight the bridge and lead you across it.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Meanwhile, we're still a month away, which is ridiculous. I feel like we've been doing this for ages. I mean,
I personally don't mind, but like,
it's like give us the show already. Just give us the show. There's just I'm ready for it, is what it is. And by the way, I love She-Hulk, so I'm glad that we're gonna have like an interesting mix of content, because She-Hulk is like weird and wild and like very comic booky.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like just in some ways very silly. And then Andor looks like it's going to be serious as a heart attack. And then Sandman was like so unexpectedly good. Like
honestly, I cannot stop watching this series. They just dropped that bonus episode, A Dream of a Thousand Cats and Calliope, and
so much tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
I was away this weekend, so
next to your seat, because I know you have fur babies.
Yeah. I heard that cats are watching this episode. Like I saw a thing on Twitter and like people had their cats watching the episode with them.
Oh yeah, it's like playing Stray. Like the cats are so into it. Like Ahsoka was sitting on the box like this watching TV.
This is what I'm nervous about. My cat's becoming like truly sentient and like understanding what's happening. And the less you know, the better. So
especially of this episode, but it's really well done and it's really beautiful. It's a 2-parter. There's a shorter one beforehand, and then more of a live action story. Like first part is animation, the second half is live action, and
that's what I'm excited to see.
And I know you're a fan, so we got Rory in this episode.
Ooh, no one told me that. Arthur Darvill's around?
He is in this episode. He is a big role in this episode, so you need to watch that.
Oh boy. Sherry is saying she had a tough time getting through the first episode of Sandman.
Right.
I will tell you,
it's a little bit of a slow start. I think once you get to like episode 3, you're off and running, especially episode 6. Episode 6 is beautiful.
Is that the one with Death?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Death is my favorite one.
It's so well done.
Yeah.
Trust me, Sherry, if you stick with it.
And I don't even know if you need to like stick with it. I just think episode 1 is bad. Like episode 1 is too much, and they could have shortened it. Like episode 1 should have been the Lord of the Rings. You know how Lord of the Rings people joke about their 10-minute opening? Imagine if that was an episode of television, though. And it's like, oh, that could have been an email. You know how this episode, this meeting could have been an email? My husband and I are watching the first episode. He's like, that could have been an intro. Like, and I was like, I get it. Like, I totally get that you didn't need all of that.
Yeah, but I feel like it does service to game and story, and that scene where he's teleporting is just straight out of the comic, and I absolutely love
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
So I can see why it's there. It's there as a love letter to the fans and to
Yeah. Oh, look, here's the thing. If that's our worst episode, we're doing great. So the show is spectacular, and don't let episode 1 deter you from watching. We might have lost Ashley again. All right, well, we're at the end of our show anyway, so we should say goodnight. We're well over time. But thank you for everyone who stuck in through the technical glitches, through the late start. We're gonna sign on off for tonight. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next week for our Yavin watch along with the Occupation and Kindred. So may the force be with you, everyone, and have a great night.